So let me ask you a question. Do you know when it's time to walk away? Do you know when it's time just to kind of throw in the towel and just say, forget it, it's not all worth it, I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of different musicians / home recording folks who say that they're deeply, deeply, deeply troubled by AI music, that they think that that's going to take over and the younger generation is just going to adopt it. And, I can see where they're coming from. I have various opinions on that, but I can certainly understand where they're coming from because at stages of my thought process, I felt the same way. And then, I started thinking, maybe it's just time to kind of give all this up and get rid of all this gear and go buy a boat or go buy something like that and just do something else and have fun with your life. And, and there have been times in my life where I have seriously considered that because it wasn't going as well for me as I'd hoped it would when it comes to music. And I think most people who've been doing this any length of time can most likely relate to that as they've gone through the ups and downs of this art we call creating and writing and capturing good music or even bad music, but just the art of doing it all. And I started thinking to myself, and I want to encourage all of you to really think about why it is you do this. I'm going to think about why I did it. I'm going to talk about my experience with this. I think coming from the generation that grew up in the 70s, was heavily influenced by the 70s and the 80s, kind of both of those, most likely equal parts. And I think a lot of people really strove to be famous rock stars. I had a dream. I wanted to be a famous rock star. I wanted to be that. Never once did I ever contemplate the money side of it. That was just never a consideration for me. I just wanted to be a rock star and what I thought that meant and what it could do. And I thought, man, if I can just write the best songs, if I can just play the best guitar part, I'm going to make it. I'm really going to do this thing. Well, unfortunately, I'm not gifted with incredible songwriting skills, and I'm not gifted with being an incredible guitar player. I can do both, but I don't really, if I'm being honest with myself, I don't excel at either one of them and never have, and good chance I never will. But that's kind of beside the point. There's been lots of people who have come in and had mediocre stuff, and it had become very, very, very popular. And so why can't I do that? Why can't I do that? And so, I held on to these dreams for a very long time. And then I became as equally passionate about capturing music, this thing we do in these spaces, about recording music, as I was the other side of it. I was fully enthralled in all aspects of that, literally obsessed with learning as much as I possibly could, and have been like that for decades at this point. So when I'm looking back on the past and I'm seeing where I'm at now, I'm no young guy. I'm 61 years old. The idea that I'm going to become a rock star is it's laughable at this point, isn't it? But I realize I don't do any of this for that. I haven't thought about it like that in quite a few decades. It doesn't even cross my mind, and I have to imagine a lot of you out there feel the same way. You just do it because you enjoy being creative. You like to see what results you can get. You like to challenge yourself, whether it's songwriting, whether it's playing, whether it's the art of recording, whether it's the art of mixing, all of those things. Maybe some of those you excel at, maybe some of those you don't, but you'll have a passion to be as good as you can at all of them. So I think, I know that perfectly describes me. It perfectly describes me, where you can't see it right here, but I recently bought the Synergy JMP module, and I'm really digging that. And I'm going back in time to my 70s roots as I'm playing through that module. It's based upon, I think, a 1979, but Plexi through the 79-ish. I don't know if it's JTM or not, but regardless of all of that, those really great sounds that I grew up on. And so I'm enjoying that a lot. I've got a wall full of guitars right here. I mean, a wall full of them. And most of them are very expensive guitars. There's a couple of Suhrs, there's a Tom Anderson, there's 3 Gibsons, there's a 914 Taylor that I've got. Look around over here. I've got a Hamer Standard over there. I've got back in the day, a Carvin bass, and there are a few others in around I'm not mentioning, and so I enjoy playing them. I don't play them all nearly as much as I'd want to, but I enjoy playing them. So when you're contemplating this whole thing, you got to ask yourself, why is it you do this? And if you don't have the passions that I'm talking about, if your sole purpose is to do nothing but make it in the music industry, just realize you're one of a long line. And for all I know, maybe you're going to be that next one. maybe you are going to be that next one. So for that reason, I say stick with it. I started this thing out. It says, when do you got to know when to throw in the towel? When do you got to know when to walk away? And for me, I don't know about you, but for me, after all the lessons I've learned, after all these years, I will never throw in the towel. I will never walk away. As long as I'm physically capable of coming into this space and recording and creating and enjoying my musical journey, I'm going to keep doing it until the day they put me 6 feet under. And so don't be all bummed out because of AI. Don't be bummed out because of these things. There are many things that happen in our lives we're not in control of. Control what you can and let go what you cannot control. And what you can control are your passions, your loves, the things that you feel deeply, deeply, deeply engaged in, and you can enjoy those things. For some of us, it's a lot of different things. Maybe you snow ski, maybe you water ski. I'm a diver. I love going diving. And after, all these decades eating too many cheeseburgers, I'm quite buoyant these days. So they got to pad me down with some extra weights when I go down. But I have a lot of passions, but none of it, no other passion in my life, as far as outside of my family, no other passion in my life has engaged me to the degree that this does. And I've enjoyed every step of it along the way. Every step, even when I thought I wasn't, when I look back and I said, you needed to go through that, Barry. You needed to go through that. Look at what you're doing today. And all I'm out for today is to satisfy me, not you, not anybody else, me. And if it's worth sharing, I'll share it with people. And so I truly enjoy it. And I want to encourage all of you to kind of forget about all that peripheral nonsense. Just forget about it and enjoy creating music. Until next time, I hope every one of you have a great day creating, writing, and capturing the very best music that you're capable of. Bye-bye.